Good evening, everyone. How are you? So, welcome to this week's One Image My Edit. And what I'm going to be showing you this week is how textures can bring more life and interest to your images, but also how a smart object is smart. So, in Photoshop, we have things called smart objects, which enables us to manipulate an image, make an adjustment, and then replace that object with something else. And I'm going to show you a really simple way of how to do that. So the first thing I'm going to do is, with this particular image here, I want to add some texture to this. Now, what I mean by that is you can add things like a canvas texture. You could add anything really that you photograph. It could be clouds, could be water, could be wood, stone, anything like that. Basically, what we want to do is take the texture and add that to our image. So the first thing we need to do is this. So we come up to File, and then we come down to Place Embedded. And that is the start of adding what's known as a smart filter. So I'm going to click that. And then you can see here, I've got a few different textures that I've been using. So I'm just going to click on this one here and then click Place. And you can see that in comparison to the picture, this is obviously really, really small. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to press Control and minus just to view out so I can see the rest of the image. I'm going to hold the Alt key down, come to the corner, and then I'm going to drag on my mouse button. Now what this is going to do is resize the image, but it's also going to keep the proportions. Okay, so I'm going to do that until it snaps to the edges there. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is hold the Shift key down, the Alt key down again. There we go. And then I'm going to hold the Shift key down and up there to the top, and it's snapped down there, and it's snapped. I'm going to do it just here, just so it fits in. And you can see when it snaps to grid, you can see that line appears. So if you haven't got that, then go to View and then Snap, and that enables it to snap to the edges. So you can just click on the tick or press Enter, whatever you want to do. And that has now added this canvas over the top of our image. And we can see if we take the eye away, you can see there's our image below, and there's the canvas. So now what we're going to do is change the blend mode. But before we do that, I just want you to notice and look down here. You can see that the canvas, so this layer here, has got this tiny little box there. And that is because we went to File and Place Embedded. So that is actually, we've created a smart object just by doing that. And this will all make sense in a minute when I come to show you how to switch this out. So we're going to come to the layers. And if you can't see that, go to Window, Layers, or you can press F7. And then come to the blending options, which are here where it says normal, and there's a tiny little arrow. We've got all these different ways in which we can blend this particular layer. And some of these will work, some of these won't work. The most common ones that I use and ones that you'll probably use most of the time is darken. You've also got lighten, screen, overlay, and soft light. Soft light is probably the most commonly used because it is a soft blend and it works really well. Overlay is quite nice as well, but you can see the difference with overlay and soft light. Overlay is literally placing this canvas over the entire picture, where the soft light is blending it. And the lights will actually highlight the dark areas and the darks will highlight the light areas, so they're opposites. Okay, so I'm going to select soft light for now because I quite like that effect. Now what we need to do is come to the opacity, and you can see it at the moment it says 100, and we want to bring this down simply because that effect is too strong at 100%. Okay, some people like that, and that's fine. If you want that, that's cool. I usually hit around between 25 and 30%, depending on the image. This particular one is, I actually quite like it at 50%, which is quite unusual. It's usually around the 20% mark. Once you've done that, you can obviously then switch back to the other overlays just to see what they would look like. Okay, so all of these will work. Multiply is quite nice. That's almost like a painterly effect there. But I'm going to stick with soft light for now. So once we've done that, what we need to do is mask this off, because when we look at the actual shot, So I'm just pressing Control plus to zoom in. We can see that we've got the texture here of the canvas, and that's cool. It's going over the background, over the hat, over the clothes, but it is going over her face as well. You might like that, you might want that, and that's fine. But if you don't, then what we need to do is come down to here and create a mask. So we come down to this square with the circle in it here, was a rectangle with a circle in it. And if you click on that, it will add a layer mask. And the layer mask is this sort of clear bit of, imagine a clear bit of paper. And now what we can do is, with this clear sheet over, we can rub in or add in this effect. Okay, so that's what this is enabled to do. So to do that, press B on your keyboard to select the brush, or you can come up to here. There's the brush tool there. And we want to make sure that the color is black. So we've got black and white there. You can change them over by clicking on the arrows. You can also press X to reset the color. So if you've got a different color on there, you can do that. And I'm going to make sure that the brush is soft. Now you can come up to here and change that, or you can right click. It's quicker sometimes just to right click, and you can change the hardness there, and you can select brushes. So at the minute I've got a hard round, so I want a soft brush. Okay, and also if we bring down the opacity, because we want to do that as well, we want to blend this. So what you can do is just press the numbers on your keyboard. So if I press 5, that will reduce it by 50%. If I press 3, that'll go to 30%, 2, 20%. And if you want 100%, you press 0, and that goes back up there. So you can just press 5 on the keyboard, and that brings it down to 50%. I'm going to go 3, so 30%. And then I'm just going to start painting in. And what I'm doing is slowly taking away that effect. And you can see down here on the layer mask that it's starting to turn gray where I'm painting. So the reason why it's doing that is because I'm having to paint more than once to get rid of this effect off her face. And I don't want it to be, a heavy adjustment. I want it to blend so that it looks natural. So I'm just going over her face. I'm going to use the brackets keys just to make the brush smaller on the keyboard. And I'm going to paint her hand. So you can be a lot more precise than what I am. Take your time. But I'm just painting this in just to get rid of that texture. I might want to leave some on there because it does look quite nice, but I think on skin it can look a bit odd and a bit distracting. I think it's okay on clothes and things like that and hair, but anything else it will kind of make it look a little bit odd. So I'm just going to paint that away. And again, I'm just using this at 30%, so it's a nice blend. Haven't got to worry too much about going over into here onto here. I'm going to make sure the eyes are definitely taken away, and the mouth, and then I think as well down here where her neck is, because that does look a little bit odd with that texture on. Again, it's personal preference, you can leave it. And if you want to add this back in, then you just go over to here and change it to white, and this will then start adding that effect back in. So where I brushed over her arm there, I can add that back in if I want to. There we go. So once we've done that, you can see there that effect is quite nice now. So if I go over to the actual mask and press shift and click on it, this cross comes up, and I've actually deleted that now. So this layer mask. So you can see what happens if I zoom in. So this is without the mask that we just done. And then holding the shift key down and clicking, you can see what we've done. We've taken that texture away, and it looks much, much better. She doesn't look as ill. So that really works. It's definitely worth doing. But all we've done is masked out her face and the hands, and the rest, that texture is still there. Now, if you want to, you could certainly turn the background into a black and white so it's not color. I mean, if we take this away, that's the original. So the original actually looks quite bland now when we compare that to adding that texture. It really adds a little bit more life, doesn't it, to that image. But if you don't want this this color to affect your image, then you could by all means turn this to black and white. So come down to here, and we could select black and white, So that's there. And what that's going to do, that's actually going to make the whole image black and white, because that adjustment is on top of all of these. But if we clip this to the canvas effect, then it's only going to affect what's underneath it and not the picture. The quickest way to do that is just to click on this box here. So you can click on that, or you can come down to here. If I just click that back off, you'll see that if you hold the Alt key down, that little box appears. It's the same thing, but it's easier just to do it there. And what that means is that the background will be black and white, but this picture won't. Okay, so you can always do that as well. It's a nice little trick if you want to take some of the color out, but I'm just going to delete that because I actually quite like the color. Now, what is really good is that we created a smart object, and that was really, really easy, really, really simple to do by just going to File and then, it was sorry, File, Place Embedded. That created our smart object for us. But what we can do now is actually change this background or this texture. So imagine if you've got more than one texture that you want to see, you know, the effect of, then you can do that without having to do everything all again. So all you do is go to Layer and then go to Smart Objects and then select Replace Contents. So what we're going to be doing now is choosing a different one. So let's choose this one and click Place. Now what Photoshop is going to do is replace that canvas with the new one that we've just selected. But what's really clever is that it's also going to remember everywhere that I painted out. So it's still going to include that layer mask. And this means that, you know, you can save a lot of time and you can see different results very, very quickly. This is used a lot by graphic designers, especially if they're doing things to do with wallpapers, or if you're, you know, photographing, say, subjects or objects that are multicolored. You may want to change the colors of them. You don't have to keep redoing the same thing over and over again. You can do it this way, and it helps speed things up when Photoshop actually decides to do it. It's having a bit of a heart attack at the minute. That's due to there has actually been a major update recently, as you all probably know from working with Photoshop and Lightroom at the minute. They're doing big updates, and Lightroom is a bit glitchy at the minute. Photoshop seems to be a little bit slower than normal. So there you go, it's done it now. So you can see there, that is the different background. So if I take this away, you can see that is that background there. Obviously I've got that selected on there because it's a opacity at 48. If I bring that up, it's not going to make any difference until it kicks in. There we go. It's a little bit slow. So there you go. That's that new layer there. So again, we can do that quite easily. We're going to Layer and then go to Smart Object. I can find it again. Sorry, my screen is flickering. Smart Objects and then Replace Contents. There we go. So we could try a completely different one. Let's try this one and just click on Place. And Photoshop will do its magic. So this gives you the ability to be quite creative with your textures, you know, creating different looks relatively easy. And I do believe adding textures is a great way to give your images a very, very creative look. A lot of fine art photographers use this technique. Also, you know, it's still life and things like that. It's used. So you can see there what has been done by Photoshop, which is actually really, really great. If I just show you, I'm just going to go to File, Open. If I show you, so these textures are here and this one here. So this is a landscape texture and these are portrait. So what Photoshop has also done is actually it's known that that's the contents, because when we went to snap, so we snapped to the sides, Photoshop knows that that's the boundaries. So it's actually used that landscape texture and converted it so that it fits within our proximity of our picture, which is brilliant. It means we haven't got to spin it around or do anything like that. And you can see this effect is really, really cool. And if you want to, again, you know, you can still come and change this. So if we wanted a different look, we could add screen, light, and whatever we wanted to do. You know, and I would suggest that you experiment with these and get different looks, different vibes. Every image is going to be completely different. Some of these won't work because they're designed for other things, but you can get a pretty cool effect on this. So that gives you an idea of how you can add textures to your pictures. And again, they don't have to be portraits, they can be anything. You've got the ability to lower that opacity, to bring that opacity up to however you like. And then using it as a smart object, we can replace them textures. So you can, you know, your creativity is not limited by Photoshop by any means. You can continue to replace them backgrounds as much as you want. So I hope that's helped. I hope you've enjoyed that quick one image my edit. So keep an eye out for the next challenge, which starts on January the 4th. You can go to dslrguruchallenge.com and you can sign up there to take part in the next challenge. Here is the website. You can go onto there, sign up, and you can have 5 days with me going over the fundamentals and the basics of photography. We go from the very, very beginning, covering shutter speeds, apertures, ISO, composition, exposure, triangle, everything you need to know to be able to get off auto and take decent pictures. So you can head over to there. So until next week, take care. I hope you've enjoyed that. If you've got any comments or any questions, please put them in the feed and I will get back to you. Have a great week. See you soon. Bye-bye.